As for Yevgeny Viktorovich Prigozhin, he is in St Petersburg. Where is he this morning? He might travel to Moscow or he might be elsewhere, but he's not on Belarus's territory.
Alexander Titov, who is a Russia Affairs analyst and a lecturer at Queen's University, Belfast. Thank you so much indeed for your time today. So how significant is the fact that, according to President Lukashenko, Yevgeny Prigozhin is still in Russia?
Yes, that's very interesting because there were unconfirmed reports of him being seen in St. Petersburg. That's the money, some of the money seized from his companies being returned. And now we have it confirmed by Lukashenko himself that Prigozhin is indeed in Russia. What I think it means is that essentially that the deal was made in the beginning. Prigozhin is trying very hard to kind of win back favor of the Kremlin in some kind of different and changed role. But basically, I think it's understood by him, and I think it was clear from the start that Wagner is not really a private company. It was a company which was made appear private, but is financed by the state, ruled by the state, and is given tasks which state doesn't want to do it himself. It gives them to Wagner. But basically, without the Russian state, Wagner it becomes nothing in itself. Prigozhin is trying to kind of win back its favor, and the only question now here is the extent to which they will allow him to resume his operations. It's clearly that I would imagine that they would not let him resume his public profile, as he was before highly critical of the Ministry of Defense, but also direct control of the Wagner Group itself. It seems to be unlikely, but the rest, I think, it's being negotiated right now.
So if Prigozhin is indeed in St Petersburg, how safe is he then?
Well, obviously, he's been given some guarantees and understanding of what is allowed to be done for him and what's not. Remember, he's extremely integrated. He's part of the state. You know, he has a very whole company, whole financial arrangements. They're all very extremely interlinked with the Russian security services, Russian Ministry of Defense, people within the Kremlin itself. So it's a very kind of tightly knit system in that sense. He's not an independent player to the extent he might have thought himself to be in a moment of dizziness from his successes. So yeah, I don't think he would have returned to Russia if there were no understanding and some kind of it's not been cleared by the Kremlin itself that he could return. So I think that's all pretty much clear that he's not acting on his own accord there.
And the other offer we had from the Belarusian president was for him to mediate peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. How realistic is it to expect either side to agree to this, do you think?
Well, I mean, basically, I think what Lukashenko is suggesting is that it all hinges on the success or failure of the current Ukrainian counteroffensive, which has been going very, underwhelmingly for Ukraine, who, predicted for a, whole half a year that it will, gather this wonderful counteroffensive, break through the Russian lines, kind of isolate Crimea, and then force its negotiations on Putin. And then now all they've done in a month is just taken 6 small villages, essentially, at enormous cost of foreign equipment and men lost to take it. So the suggestion here is that there will be understanding that there will not be a military solution, certainly not from Ukraine's side. They cannot win this war on battlefield. Therefore, there have to be negotiations. That was kind of suggestions by Lukashenko. But once that's been realized by Zelensky, but also most importantly by the Washington itself and people in America as well, then I think there will be opening up towards the negotiations. Lukashenko might play a role, but the main thrust of it would come from America, and when they understand that this is a dead end and there's no military solution to this conflict.
Okay, Alexander Titov, thank you so very much indeed, a Russia Affairs analyst and lecturer at Queen's University, Belfast there. Thank you for your expertise.
Thank you.